test. What is reality testing, you may ask? Well, it's something we all do when we check our subjective or personal emotions, thoughts, and so forth against objective or fact-based reality. So here in Reality Test, we're going to be testing the castmate realities and the producer antics of our favorite reality TV shows against what we know as licensed psychologists about the reality off of our TVs. We hope you'll join us as we attempt to reality test. That's it. Thanks, y'all. Now check out our campy theme song.
Are you feeling stressed? Your head's all messed? Well, let's forget all the rest. Fuck it, we're blessed. Cause it's time to talk reality test. Come with us. Let's reality test.
Welcome to Reality Test. At long last, after a long hiatus, I'm Dr. Ray.
Dr. Kay. Feel free to check in and take a seat wherever you like. Welcome back, Dr. Ray. Woo!
It's been a hot minute. It's good to be back. Boy, do we have some things to discuss. Oh
my goodness. My goodness. My goddess. Yes, absolutely. So much. So much. And also, just it's great to see your face and have you back on the show. We've missed you.
You too.
I and the invisible audience have missed you. Yes, major hearts. And so it's great. And then also, I'm so glad that you got to actually enjoy your life a little bit and also had work, but also got to travel. So it's awesome. Do you want to segue that into your check-in? So folks, you know that our check-in is where we tell you what's on our heart and minds today so that you know what we're carrying into our podcast. And then that's what we're going to do now. So what's on your heart and mind today, dear Dr. Ray?
My heart and mind, I have been traveling an awful lot. It's been really fun. I love traveling. I think it really helps me to see the bigger picture better, not get so caught up in the day to day. And it's just always been a great stress reliever for me. So I sure did that to the nth degree. And I have this thing, I think I told Dr. Kay this, that I don't look ahead. So I'll be like, oh, I have another travel thing happening. And sometimes it feels like it's happening to me, even though I planned it. So, but it was super fun and I'm glad to be done. Both are true. And yeah, it's nice to be back now and really be able to appreciate the summer. And, New England is beautiful this time of year. So I'm having a great time.
Truly. I was just thinking that you came back just in time for the nice part of this weather. It's so nice.
It really is. It's in the 70s this week. I'm living my best life. And I haven't seen my partner in a while, actually, because we did go to Asia together. But then these last couple of weeks, I've been traveling solo. So it's really nice to be able to catch up with Connor, too, our sound guy.
Your spouse.
My spouse. Yeah, our sound guy and also my spouse. Not necessarily in that order, but who knows, depending on the task.
Yeah, right? In this current context, it makes sense that sound extraordinaire would be first. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I agree, the 70 degrees is ideal. It's not too hot. It's definitely not cold. It's a delight. And then we had a bit of a tornado watch yesterday. That was wild. Was that yesterday? Yeah, that was yesterday. I lost power in the meeting I was running, which was not ideal. I almost said unideal. It was unideal, though. It was just true.
Unideal.
It was pretty unideal. Disideal. Yeah, it was frustrating a little bit, but also just, amazing. The wind was just picked up out of nowhere, and suddenly my French doors opened up in my face, and it was just all this it was wild. I was luckily not talking at the time some of that was happening, so I was screaming a little bit. I was just startled me. It just got totally dark out, and then all of a sudden there was huge gusts of wind, and my wind chimes were all bent against the ceilings, just totally horizontal, if you will. It was just absolute chaos. But beautiful nonetheless. And then we lost power, which is less beautiful.
Beautiful chaos, I guess.
Yeah, beautiful chaos. Temporary. Luckily it came back after a couple of hours, which is good. Sometimes it takes hours and hours. So woes of living in the woods, you say. Everybody knows who lives in the woods. Although I imagine in the city it's got to take time too. Who knows? Okay. Anyway. Lovely. Thank you. Lovely to have you back. Thank you for sharing. And on my heart and mind, I actually kind of was thinking about the tornado, to be fair. My peonies are out, though, and I love my peony garden. And they've been blooming in abundance and looking beautiful. I think you saw I brought some for my supervisee for goodbye yesterday, 2 days ago.
Oh, I didn't know those were for your... That's so sweet. Yeah. Oh, they looked beautiful. I thought you bought them at a store or something, honestly.
Yeah, no, they're for my garden. get pretty. You got to make use of them when they come out because you have to just like, you're supposed to cut them. It helps them to cut them. And then, yeah. So it's like, I always try to have a vase of them near me during this period of time, but then I try to give them out too. So to like share the, wealth, share the beauty. So yeah. Yeah. They smell so good. It's my favorite scent of a flower too. So I have rose garden and a peony garden. Probably said this a long time ago now because I probably share it every year, but I have those two gardens so that I always have something sort of, one of them is usually blooming throughout the whole summer through August. I have short roses left and stuff. So
that's huge. We actually, I feel like when we planted our perennials, we didn't do a good enough job of like planning, okay, this will bloom this time of year, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I wish we did a better job of that, but there's still time. We can change some things around still.
Just thinking that now you get to spot check. You get to be like, okay, now we know this month we have nothing. So like now you find something that blooms in this month or whatever. Yeah.
Because it does get the dopamine flowing. Like when I see those little buds starting to sprout colors, I'm like, there is nothing better than this.
I know. We all go outside in my household and go look at them when that happens. Like the flower is starting to pick. It's like, because especially peonies, they have like this bud looking thing, but it ends up being leaves for a while. So it's like a green bud. And then finally it becomes a pink one. And so that's always an exciting moment when it turns pink. I totally agree. You're right. Dopamine hit. And then just the scent is very like mindfulness promoting. Just
Absolutely.
Like be in the moment with that. Yeah. Okay. Lovely. Well, I think we decided that we're going to forego the reality check. For those who listen, reality check is when we both give a study of interest and share that and talk about it together. But because we have just so much juicy material to get to about the Scamanda scandal, Scamanda thing, news, we will just get right into it. So as those who have been following along on the Scamanda timeline know, we just had another episode this past Wednesday. It was a bonus episode called Aftermath, I think. And so it was the aftermath. Very literal. There were 3 conversations that happened in that episode. One was between Lindsay and Amanda, then one was between West and Kyle, and then the last one was between Sierra and Meha. So interesting. I would say like not as interesting as I was looking for, if I'm really honest about it. I kind of felt like, but there were some things. And what we're going to start with today is the ways in which that episode changed our timeline, and this is only the timeline that Amanda and West are purporting, because as you know, we here at Reality Test believe the timeline is quite different, and sure, we definitely could be wrong. There were moments during this episode where I was like, well, maybe I'm wrong, maybe they didn't first have sex during the summer, but I still feel pretty strongly about it. And maybe they didn't have sex, but maybe they made out for the first time, but whatever it is, something changed that week for sure. So yeah. So I think that sort of stands. But according to what Amanda and West, they originally said that they were just close friends through to January even. And West does later specify, well, like, yeah, but emotionally, we became emotionally close during the fights with Kyle and so forth, which of course that's true, but it did still seem like more. In February, after the split from Kyle, Amanda starts going, this is what they said. Amanda then starts going out with West and his company more and more. And then they start sort of like flirting or hand holding, is said. She also says that they don't make out until February after the big group brunch. And she denies to Andy that they were doing anything but talking when the February drop of rumors happens. But minutes later, Sierra says that when Sierra's reading through her text messages with Amanda, she says, like, so I asked you, there would be no pictures of you hand holding under the table, making out, da-da-da-da. And Amanda says back to her, yeah, I lied. So there was something happening before February, because she even said that to Sierra that she'd lied about that. She also says, this is all during the reunion that came out. And then she also says, we didn't have sex until after the announcement on March 31st. And then she's like, well, not that night. Like, so soon after they announced that they were sort of like serious. People have suggested that maybe what she actually meant, quote unquote, was the announcement of the split from Kyle. That when she said that they had sex after it, she meant when they split from Kyle. But that's definitely not what she meant. And like maybe
I didn't take it that way.
Yeah,
but
it's not what she meant for us to take it either. Because she's also saying they didn't even make out until February. So January 17th or whatever that was that the split was announced. I mean, no, that's definitely not what she's saying. But it could be a Freudian slip, and that's actually what it was potentially. But March 31st. So they didn't have sex until after March 31st. I don't think so. So with the bonus episodes, some things that we learned. One thing is that we learned now that November was a very important time in their timeline. This is when Amanda starts to consider West as having been asking her to come hang out a lot. So she says to Lindsay, he was asking me all the time, come hang out, yada, yada. They showed a text message between West and Amanda asking her to come hang out, where she said no. And it was a November time. So saying that she started to go hang out with them in February really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, even if what I'm about to say is true, which is... She also said, so she says in response to that November thing, she says, you're going to be pissed at me. So why would she say you're going to be pissed at me unless it was already more serious between the two of them, that she would be saying no to going out and that he's going to be pissed at her for that? So again, I was sort of like, I don't think so. And then the other thing that was a huge bomb in my mind is that West said that she had wanted him to come see her family for Christmas. And he said to her, no, that's not where our relationship is at, because he said to Kyle, I didn't want to have to tell her, I don't want to date you. So that means that he was thinking of her as thinking that they're dating in friggin' December. So that is not a February timeline. I don't care who you are. That is a definite, at least in December, she thought of them as dating. He had a hard time telling her they're not dating because she asked him to come see her family in Christmas. There's no fucking way, no way, no how, that thinking that he should come see her family in Christmas, they hadn't already been fucking. There's no absolute no way.
Right.
Who? No. It's like, she's not going to be like, oh, how could she explain that to Kyle? It's just the whole thing. It's just it doesn't make any sense that she wouldn't be thinking that if they weren't already having sex.
West got off on feeling like the hero for Amanda in those summer house moments, made him feel something different for him. Perhaps it seems like there's some family stuff for him. So maybe it's deep. For whatever that was, felt really deep for him. He has deep resentment at Sierra because people kept saying she's so much hotter than you. What the blah, blah, blah. He deeply resents her. And this made him feel really good. And I am convinced that something happened at that summer, fall at the latest, but I don't know. I think it happened in the summer. It's just, and it's so sick because it's not about Amanda at all. Maybe a little bit, obviously he's not revolted by her, but to me at this point, she is not quite clear on who she is. And that makes me sad. I don't know, are certain men just interested in a vessel for their bullshit? Not that she's a vessel, but it just makes me, the whole thing makes me so sad. And it's just, exactly. That's how I feel. And yes, I haven't had a chance to say this. So I feel like as you were talking the timeline, I'm like, it just really feels like for him that, made him feel really good, and Amanda was into it. I don't know.
I had said on one of the solo pods that I think he has mommy issues, and I think his mommy issues are in the form of he both really tries to take care of her, which is why he's good at taking care of women, but then also resents her for not being more of a mother to him. And so then there's a part where the first part he played with Amanda, because Amanda was like the mom of the house. So she definitely pulled on his mom vibes, 100% pulled on his mom vibes. And so at first he was taking care of her the way he takes care of his mom. Maybe that's why he accidentally said, I love you, when she was in the bedroom. Bet his mom's in bed a lot. I don't know what that looks like, but whatever. So he sort of said, I think he was at first in that role with her. And then at a certain point when she started giving him more attention back, he started to resent her for not being more of a mom to him or what, there's that part of him that flips with his mom, flipped with her. And then he just couldn't see her a different way anymore. Got the ick, I think. But I think he's had the ick with her for a long time. And so that's a real bummer, I think he's been sort of trying to get out of it. I think.
Luck.
Yeah. Because she very much, we both said this back in the day too, she very much had to sit him down and be like, we have to tell them it's something serious or else everyone's going to freak out that we did this for nothing. So you have to agree with me to write this announcement. But in the announcement, they say nothing about being exclusive. They say nothing about dating. They say our connection, yada, yada. So clearly he told her, no, I'm not going to say we're dating at all. But then everyone assumed that's what they meant anyway because of how she framed it, convinced him to let her frame it. And so then it kind of got away, and then he had to lie on the reunion and say they were exclusive, which was just such a clear lie. Didn't you think he was lying when he said that? He was like, yeah. And then she was just like totally flat.
She was on so many benzos, but she even did have just her eyes. I was like, damn, this girl is zonked. Yeah. Oh, it's bad. Yeah. I don't think I think they are going to end sooner than later. I'm not sure if he doesn't like her. It's hard for me to see if he's trying to convince himself still or if
he likes her as a person. There's not into her anymore, sexually, I think, but maybe.
Yeah. Who knows? The fact that he talked to Miha for 6 hours one day.
Mm-hmm. Not a great sign. And that he also feels like he can't text with her because he has Amanda. what, checking his phone? I mean, that's not good. And then the other thing too is that she was so clearly snappy. I mean, he used that word about her, which I don't love that word anyway, but she did kind of snap at him a couple times during the reunion, and you could just tell in his eyes that he was like, fuck this, like, but can't say anything about it. So he like looks off and sort of like ugh. Like, so if she's in that mode, that's definitely when you start to resent mom, you know, like talk about mommy issues. Like, so I think that's when I think it probably changed in terms of being like sexually attracted to her, but I could be wrong. It's just that every time they kiss, I'm like, are they just cousins? Like, that's like cousin kissing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not even like dating. There's no dating here. It's so weird. I just can't. So I don't know. It just seems staged, that part of it.
Does. And then feeling like it made me feel good that she had fun with my friends. Well, that's not about your dynamic. That's about you just feeling like a man about town, saving her.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's so weird. It's all so weird and sad and ugh.
Yes. And did you notice her friend, I think her name's Katie something, was in that text group, the group of text messages where he was texting a bunch. So that's the whole thing, is it's not really about Amanda. He wants to get as many people to come out with him as possible. Clearly every time he goes out. So he like tells the whole group, I'll be leaving my house now, or like, come on out, come to this place. And Katie wrote like a whole paragraph back to them at one point about it. And Amanda really, you know, was writing like little things every now and then. So I really get the sense that like Amanda's best friend was also one of the people they were trying to get to come out with them. Maybe that was for one of his friends or whatever. And so there was like a really trying to create a crew. And I totally agree. He wants to be a man of town with his little crew. That's like his little posse, you know? So yeah, I think that's really a big part of it. I also said last time, before this last episode, I said like a big thing obvious to me is that Amanda had just divorced. She was feeling like she was unlovable, which she then literally said. She was feeling like she was unlovable, or that she hadn't felt wanted in years, you know, like since she was whatever, 24. She hadn't felt wanted. And so she went out and was drinking, which already pops your dopamine right there, or whatever, really, like serotonin even really, but it like pops your neurotransmitters. So she's like feeling high off that, even just drinking, having fun, dancing also releases endorphins. And then having Wes be there, she confuses some of that like freedom and also feeling like wanted again for meaning that she loves Wes. And so like, it just, to me, it's like, how could she just like disentangle that? So it makes sense to me that she would sort of like put that into his camp when really it was like also she just liked being wanted again or wanted, you know. And so then she literally said that to Lindsay, and I was like, yes, okay, good. So she's getting that, because that's so, to me, that's so clear that there was way more that she was being drawn to than West. And I think he knew that too. I don't think he was, you know, I think, well, maybe he didn't know that, but I think he at least was trying not to be the one thing she was really into, I think. But I think at a certain point he tried to distance himself, in other words. I don't know. But he's definitely doing it now, so. I think she is too, though. Maybe we saw that she in her conversation with Lindsay. Lindsay was like, "Get the fuck out of there. He's using you. He's embarrassing you in public. Like, get out." And she was like, "Yeah, I'm really thinking about that now." So
thank goodness. And they're both trying to. Ooh, I'm just.
God bless you.
They're both trying to blame each other. They're doing like one of those Spider-Man point things where they're like, you. It's like
he was pursuing me. He was pursuing me.
It's so immature. It's like, it's really developmentally young. It's like, no, it's your fault. It's your fault. You did it. It's just like,
yeah. No, it's so blamey. And it's just sort of like, no need to go there, you know, but I guess that's the whole point, is everyone wanted to know that. They're like, who started it? Where did it start? And I just feel like, you know, I don't know. I think he had to publicly take the blame by saying, I turned to her and said, is this something more than I think? Am I right that this is something? So maybe he felt like, you know, he like took the brunt publicly. He needed to like repair his ego by taking back the blame, you know, making the blame be on her behind the scenes. But yeah, definitely that was a very immature. I mean, the whole thing is quite young. I mean, what she did was very high school to begin with.
Yes.
And so with him,
yeah. When Lindsay said that, yeah, like maybe in high school during the reunion, it was like, I feel like women across America were like, exactly, this is some shit you do in high school. No one does this to their friends. It's just beyond anything.
And in high school, people haven't had time to be this attached to each other yet. So it's a little bit different if you did it too. And also you still felt bad enough, you'd never do it again. So I feel like that's the other thing. It's like, yeah,
right, exactly.
The dating phase.
Yeah, you don't have the life experience to be like, this is a horrible thing to do to another human, but she does have that life experience. But yeah.
Yeah, it's the like, get what you can't have of it all for really both of them, I think, but particularly for West. That is naughty. I mean, there's a bigger timeline going on, which I wasn't going to share, which we're not going. Let me say this: we're not going to share. That's like 6 pages long that I've been tracking. That has all of the like social media posts and like when they use certain songs, and that timeline goes all the way back to April 25th, 2025. April 2025. he posted a TikTok in LA with Amanda, and then she posted on an Instagram story about how his room at the hotel was right next to hers, all the way back in April 2025. So there's like, they also have like certain song choices when they post things about each other. It's just very telling. Like one of them was like my best friend's ex or whatever was one of the songs. Yeah. And like, I don't know. So that starts all the way back April. And they thought that they were sort of like, you know, because they thought no one would ever find out. That's the thing. I don't think they would have done that if they thought one day people would be like, oh, let's look back at all this stuff. I think they thought they were getting away with it because they thought that they would never do anything too serious. And then when it got found out, they're like, now we have to be serious about it.
It's bad. It's so bad. That's wild. If April, before even the summer started, that is, I mean, it could be. I don't know.
I mean,
for both of them. I mean, for Amanda to do that to Sierra is just so, that's the one that really, like West, yeah, it doesn't surprise me, but.
Even though it's fucked. Yeah. I mean, that's the part. It's like, it's sort of been everyone's position because Sierra also took that position where she's like, yeah, West is like, but he's a boy. I can't blame him kind of. But like, I don't know what I'm missing about that because there's a part of me that's sort of like, but that it's not okay. Like, it's not okay.
Right.
You know, it's like we shouldn't be giving people a like pass because of their gender in either direction, but because of his gender, he gets a pass because he's misbehaving. It's like, I understand like there's sort of this like image of men like thinking with their dick or whatever instead of their brain, and maybe that's what she's saying. And that, of course, there's like a biological reason. It's a little different, sure, but I think that everyone should be holding themselves to the same standard regardless of gender, of like not hurting each other and not doing, of all things, that. Because wait, let me tell you this, because of all the things that is so whack is that he and Sierra had started repairing their relationship in the fall. Yeah. They were even sleeping together secretly, quote unquote. Now it's not a secret, is why I say quote unquote, but they were secretly sleeping together again. But that they had had a whole conversation about boundaries, and he and she agreed no other sleeping with anyone else from Bravo. They both decided that was a boundary, no one from Bravo. Mm-hmm. And I bet it was so she wouldn't sleep with Jesse, but meanwhile he's sleeping with Amanda. So like, to me, it's sort of like he knew that that would be way hurtful.
Let me be clear. For me, it wasn't about the gender. It's about, I feel like West has this track record of kind of being really shitty, lying, having this like resentment, where Amanda was so like, I felt like their friendship felt really pure. And it's so sad to me to be like, damn, you had no problem doing this to your friend. Like maybe she resented her. I don't know.
Yeah, no, she definitely did. You can see her attitude towards Sierra change over the summer. Like, if she becomes so resentful of Sierra and how flirty and how everyone's like trying to get them together. That was the other thing that made it so clear that they'd had sex, because she was like jealous of Sierra and possessive of West. And she can't be possessive of West just because he's nice to her as a friend. There's no freaking way. She would be like promoting him getting with Sierra if they were just friends. You know, so it doesn't make any sense to me. And she clearly wasn't. She was so annoyed when I would mention, and it got worse and worse over the summer. And the other thing that really cued me into just how image focused she is and selfish is the thing that happened with Sabrina, where she like was sort of like defending herself to Sabrina at first, and then when Sierra and Mia were both like, yeah, kind of makes sense that she's sort of like, why would you say that to her? She was like, oh, I just feel so bad I would do that to somebody. I would hate that I would hurt somebody like that. She just like flipped a whole 180.
And like, honestly, I felt like Sabrina was like, I felt like Amanda in that moment, it was just kind of a joke. Like, I didn't feel like Sabrina's reaction was justified. Like, I actually felt like Amanda was fine to like stay in her.
Me too. Yeah. And I also think that Sabrina's a fucking fangirl. And I don't mean to be like rude about that, but she's a fangirl. She came in knowing all this shit, not just from Ben. Don't start with me. That was not just from Ben. And the way that she said to Amanda when she first meets her, I just want you to be happy and be with somebody who loves you. And that's so inappropriate to say that to somebody. You do not know her. Yeah.
I would be pissed at her too. I would have, she would have not gotten so much niceness from me with that sort of attitude. Like, F
and then my favorite thing too is that when she talked to her about it, Amanda said, I'm sorry that you had to hear that from me. Like, rather than like, I'm sorry I said it, or like, I'm sorry it's not true, which I loved. I was like, yeah, don't backtrack on that. We all heard basically that he loves you. We get it. Like, so I did actually kind of love that. But yeah, as soon as she heard that that was not Mia's and Sierra's position on it, she totally flipped. And what did she flip it to? Self-doubt. And so then that makes me wonder about all of her self-doubt comments, like, which is shitty, because of course she probably is self-doubting, but the fact she turns to that when she wants to make sure people know that she didn't do anything bad, or she doesn't want people to like think of her badly. It just was such a flip. And I was like, wow, I don't know. This does make it seem like she just would do anything to, get her nut, but like not necessarily sexually, but
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's sad.
And then the way she talks to Sierra about her relationship and then the way she talked to Kyle about it, I was like, oh, they're hearing two completely different stories. So that's why Kyle still has hope. Like, of course he would.
Yes. The way she keeps being like, well, it's not that we're, just because I'm moving, it doesn't mean that we're breaking up. Like, we're going to keep trying. This is so that we can get back together.
She wanted to break up. She just wanted to break up with him.
She was out a while ago. And I think that night that they said goodbye at the summer house, I think she went and stayed at a hotel that night. I think he stayed with her. I think Wes stayed with her at that hotel. I think that was their first chance to sleep together alone. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I think everybody's telling me about that too. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, well, this is also, I think the main thing is, and by the way, I don't mean to say that you weren't saying this too. I just mean like a lot of the narrative is sort of forgiving of Wes because of his track record. And I just feel like he owed Sierra more than anybody in the world. And he kept saying he understood that for the first time. I understand her more now. I get it now. I get the racial piece now. Bullshit. You don't. And also, by the way, stop talking about yourself, first of all. Yes. So that shows you don't get it. But also he kept acting like that and then clearly wasn't actually acting on that. And so for that reason, I feel like he did need to do better than he did. And then obviously anybody needed to do better than what they both did, but I do feel like he gets too much of a pass, I think, even from Sierra, because then we find out that she met with him too before. Remember we were talking about when she was talking, it was when Kyle and Wes were talking that Kyle said to Wes, Sierra said to such and such that you said da-da-da. And so that meant that Sierra and Wes had a conversation and that Wes had blamed. So maybe it was Lindsay, because that's how they found out that Wes had blamed Amanda. Yeah, it was that Wes and Sierra met, and then Lindsay told Amanda that Wes had told Sierra that Amanda had come on to Wes. So that shows they'd had a conversation, and he blamed her. And so, like, obviously she was forgiving him a little bit. I don't see her meeting with Amanda, that's for sure.
That kind of sucks.
I know.
Yeah.
So I hate that he got so much of a pass, but it also kind of makes sense in other ways. Of course, I can understand it. But then the other thing is, yeah, exactly. Amanda with the best friend thing is just awful. It's just so sad, and it's just like sucks that had to be how she first experienced her freedom. And yeah, I wish it had been anybody else.
Anybody else. Jesse probably would have been fine. Like literally anybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Jesse would totally have been fine. Exactly. Yeah, or KJ, or I mean, I guess if Dara and he had broken up, but yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, this segues nicely because we're talking about a little bit of the race piece, because ultimately the person who deserves the most praise and affection and attention and understanding and compassion and empathy is Sierra. So why don't you start us off with one of our sociopolitical and mental health topics for today?
Yes. So we wanted to talk about people of color being objectified, used, villainized. Sierra feeling like people want to be with her sexually. She's also kind of like a show favorite. So like this idea that maybe men are like getting her with her for clout.
Yeah, dude. And I think also like that was a piece of what made this so messy again with Wes is like what Lindsay said, like he gets back together with her and then he breaks up, but the fact that the fact that they had started having a secret sex resurgence, I guess maybe is the word, but it just sucks because that's again the thing that she says that she wants to be more than to him, and then again that felt like even that was used. He was using her even for that.
It's so sad, and I got a little confused on the reunion. I understand Amanda has mental health difficulties, but it really does feel like everyone treating Amanda with kid gloves. Like, I just don't feel like people would kind of run to her protection. And it bothered me. I agree with Lindsay. She made a very adult decision, but it's very like white woman victimization sort of stuff is how it feels. And I just like, even Andy, when he asked West if he was on a beta blocker, when Amanda was clearly like zonked. Like she didn't get that question. She should have gotten that question.
I thought he was asking her at first. I was
because of course.
Okay. Yeah. They were both so flat. I mean, they both did it. They both did whatever they did. Yeah. I was definitely thinking it was Xanax too. I was thinking it was a benzo, not a beta blocker. I think beta blocker is too gentle for what that was going on there. Yeah.
Maybe beta block. Like West is always kind of flat and like that. But like Amanda, yeah, she was like, and I'm sure she didn't want to be seen as like defensive or crying or censoring herself.
She was snappy too. He was like, "You're being snappy. Don't be snappy," or whatever too. She might have even seen it during the break. Yeah.
So obsessed with how she was being perceived, didn't even really care about how she was feeling.
And same to her. She was really just like, okay, I know I can do better. Like, instead of being like, this is really whatever. I mean, she was also like pissed at how people were talking to her, when I actually felt like, honestly, she got a really favorable response from people. Like, I actually think Sierra is such a bigger person. Some of the comments she made where she was like, we're not saying that. Like, when she said, I know I'm making myself a victim again, or I'm not making myself a victim again, Sierra said, we're not saying that. We're just saying it seems like you don't care. I mean, what an amazing thing to say. Like, that's such an adult person thing to say. And I just loved it. I was like, yes, exactly. Sierra's not just like outright blaming you all bad, black and white. Like, she's really not. She's holding you accountable for something you actually did. And she's sharing it with you, directing. It's just very upsetting that, like, even though Amanda got such a good version of what she could have had, that she still was like so defensive and angry kind of. She was like angry about it, especially at the beginning. I was like, you don't even know what they're going to say yet. You're just like angry already.
Yeah, it's like this it was almost like bratty. And then the Instagram of like how much I care. Like, she could not be doing more to be disrespectful. Like, the behavior, I'm not saying Amanda's evil. Amanda's not evil, of course, but the behavior is kind of evil.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It's not good. It doesn't look good on her. Yeah.
No.
Well, and I wonder how much of it comes from West, because another video they showed her go by the camera and she goes, we're sorry. And then West goes by and he goes, fuck you guys. No, we're not, like, in the video or whatever. And I think it was like to a song or something, but they did that. And I sort of was like, yeah, that probably is kind of the vibe, is that like she's feeling badly and he's like, fuck them, don't care about it. Who cares? Like,
and then she's trying to meet that by being like too cool for it. And it's just horrible. It's horrible.
Exactly. I watched another video of West being like, West was drinking a smoothie. He's like, I know you guys hate me, but I'm still going to enjoy my smoothies. And he goes, like, it's so weird. Like, I was like, what is that at all? Like, but just, yeah, he seems to really not care, like, to be dismissive of it. And when, of course, he does care, you know,
deeply, I think.
Yeah. And I think it's a nice piece. Like, I worried about Mia and Sierra, because this isn't in the notes, so I want you to keep, but I worried about Mia and Sierra. Like, I think no matter what, they had to be really careful, which sucks. You know, like right there, that's different than what we had with Lala, with Ariana and so forth. Like, they really had to be really thoughtful and careful. And I think they did beautifully. I just hate that they had to watch that for themselves. But like, I also, like you said about the white woman caring about her safety and psychological safety part, the one time she cried was when Mia said, you should be embarrassed, or it is embarrassing. When she was like, I'm just embarrassed. She goes, it is embarrassing. And then she started crying because she realized, like, right, like, you're not just saying, like, we all agree, like, you're right, that is embarrassing, and it is about you and your image. And so I think in that moment, then it became about like, oh no, she's crying and she got to get up and leave. It's like, and everyone else is like, I've never left even when I've been crying, or, you know, whatever. So it sort of just, yeah, says a lot about like, well, she gets to be, you know, she gets to decide to get up and leave and pause the fucking show, like, because they had to wait for her. Yeah,
for like an hour, I guess she was gone. Like, that's a long time.
And Wes didn't go after her until Kyle told him to. It's like, it just shows they're not exclusive because of that. That right there was another reason they're clearly not exclusive. But then also when he was like, well, then you're going to say that I got up and left. You're going to say they left. It's like he like doesn't want to be lopped in with her. Like, you know, it doesn't want to. You guys can say that negatively about her, but I don't want you to say it about me. It's sort of like
so much. It's so he just doesn't care. That's it. At the end of the day, he just doesn't give a fuck about anyone but himself.
Exactly, and his image in particular. And I feel like that's really toxic for a relationship. They can't both be like that. That just won't ever work because it means they'll always put their image before each other, and there just is no way to know if the other person even loves you because it's what they're really caring about. It's their image.
And they both did that when split. Like it was almost like, you know, when police like who flips interrogations, who flips first gets the best deal or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. The prisoner's dilemma or prisoner's thing, challenge, something. Yeah, exactly. Where it's like if you both don't cave, then no one gets in trouble, or if you both cave, you both get in trouble. Yeah, it's like 4 different boxes. Yeah, totally.
Bad. And then Lindsay gets to be more ostentatious, I think is the word. Yeah. In like the way she presents herself in this group, because she's a white woman, right? She can kind of be a little more out there and get passes for that and be considered funny and be mean. And, you know, it's that same thing of like Sierra and Mia have to be so careful. Yeah. And KJ.
Yep. Sweet KJ. Yeah, totally. I found her kind of off-putting in the reunion, Lindsay. Like, I think there were certain moments where I was like, just don't do it right now. Like, let it go. I mean, Andy even had to say, okay, moving on. Like, we got to.
It does feel like she's capitalizing on the moment, like, and she's happy to do so. And you know what? That's fair. Get your bag, Lindsay. But it's at a certain point, it's like, okay, we got it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think she's like making sure everyone knows she's like the mama of the family or whatever, kind of thing. And it's like, we do know, we get it, and we understand that's like your new role, which makes her feel like she belongs, which is good. I'm glad she has a role. But I will say, to Wes's credit, he actually came out and said that he understands about other people capitalizing on it. He's like, well, that's just part of our jobs now. Like, of course. And so I actually appreciate that. That was good, because it's true. The way Amanda was like, that was awful. I wouldn't have done that about your guys' breakup. I was like, what? Amanda, what?
Yes, you would. You're capitalizing off of everything. You're doing in the city. You're doing this, that, and the other.
You're posting about this, so why can't they? Yeah, exactly. Silly. Yeah. Well, I just felt like the objectification is heavy and big, and there's a lot of it, of all of them, and I think that makes me sad. I mean, I think that's a part of what they do on reality TV, is they're basically commodifying each of them, to become like an object for sale with their image. So. Okay, well, since you mentioned KJ, if you are a longtime listener, you may know that I have had several a tirade about the idea of BPD, which is borderline personality disorder, because my personal belief, and this is not to take it away from anybody who feels strongly about having that diagnosis, my personal belief is that came up at a time where we weren't able to give the diagnosis of trauma to women because it was just given to men who had been in combat. And so when there was this big epidemic, really, of women who had been victims of incest as children, so like they're in sexual abuse within their household, it was kept secret. That had been like a huge secret thing. No one was talking about it, but it was just like okay, it was like normalized among the men. But then the women were growing up and they had all these symptoms that were very much like trauma, but they couldn't have trauma because they weren't in combat. So what is this? So then and because they weren't talking about the incest, they also thought it was normal because it kind of was normalized at the time. So they weren't talking about that as a problem. That meant that therapists didn't know what to do. And so they sort of gave them this new diagnosis that would make it their fault, because personality disorders suggest that that's something intrinsic to you that you can't change. And you can cope with it, but you can't change it ultimately. So it became this very like victim blaming thing. I don't think that it is anything but complex trauma in my mind. I think if you look at BPD against complex trauma, the exactly the same symptoms. So my thought is, even if, let's say, that is different and there is such thing as just a natural BPD without any trauma, I still would say there's no harm in just treating it as complex trauma, because it has the same symptoms and people will just they won't be as victim blamed in that case as well. So I think there's really no harm with seeing it as complex trauma anyway, even regardless of your position on whether BPD exists externally. That said, if some people find it useful to have that read on it, that's great. I would never take it away from somebody, of course, if they came in with that and felt strongly about it. I would suggest just looking at this other way of looking at it, just because it could actually be quite freeing. But so I say all this to say, KJ in the reunion said, in the fall, I went through some hard times, heavy stuff mentally. He says, I had to go to the hospital for self-harm. I had to go to the hospital for a week. Mia and Sierra were there almost every day. Went to recovery, which solidified it. I was there for a few months, focused on myself. Needed that. I think my whole life I distracted myself and ran away from my issues, but now I'm in therapy and diagnosed with BPD while in the hospital, and I'm grateful I'm alive, because I could have not been. I'm grateful for the support of my friends, and I'm very thankful the audience is embracing that, because it's my truth, and I'm not going to not be honest about what I go through, especially if it can help others. So beautiful speech, and I think it's lovely. I'm wondering now, and having learned that he and Dara had broken up for a time, they weren't, Dara had broken up, they were like on and off a little bit. I actually wondered if this started with them breaking up. Like, I think maybe she, I wonder if she broke up with him and he just sort of like really melted into the ground a little bit, because he was really attached to her for good reason. They're very sweet together too. I like them together, but I wondered about that. And I think also he grew up with women. So his emotional lability, so like one of the symptoms that makes people think BPD is, if one is the self-harm and safety risks, but another is emotional lability and sort of like having strong emotions in all sorts of different directions. He grew up with a very emotional household. He had 3 women in his household, no men. So he would be emotional anyway. So that kind of thing being seen as a symptom pisses me off. It's just like his emotions. He's allowed to fucking cry. Just because he's a black man doesn't mean he has fucking BPD just because he's emotional. So to me, that really made me angry. I really think they're just frustrated, let me say, because I really think that is a misdiagnosis for that reason as well. You just can't possibly know that to be true when there's these other confounding factors, including racial trauma. Racial trauma is a complex trauma that started early, continued, sequential, has an attachment trauma focus to it as well. Think about his dad. I mean, just the things. So to me, it's complex trauma. I was bummed to hear that he's, but if he's, if that helps him, that's great. But that's my thought. I think it was overdiagnosed on him. And I think part of it also, they kind of suggested, by the way, in the new DSM, we should be treating someone for a year before we diagnose them with a personality disorder. I have to say, that is not what happened here. So
And in a lot of cases, in hospitals too, they'll be very quick to slap that label on people. Like it's not good. It's really irresponsible diagnosis. And I'm totally with Dr. Kate on this. I do not agree with BPD. It is almost always complex trauma, and there is a trauma history, and another way of saying it and seeing it. And the term borderline personality disorder just has so much stigma attached. And I agree, like, people can change. I'm sure KJ is going to make great changes in his self-awareness and understanding of what kind of triggers his symptoms. But I also agree that the DARA piece makes sense, because if the hospital saw it as like a relational thing, I think they'd be more likely to kind of put that sort of label on it, unfortunately.
Totally. I still remember one of our first conversations ever on the phone was me telling you my version of this, and you're like, yeah, that like totally like fits what I've been sort of wondering about it. Like it was, I just knew with the very little I knew about you, I knew that you would totally attach to that too. Because once I like really thought that through and felt, I was like, yeah, like what the fuck? Now I'm just like done. I'm like all the way done. I'm so firm on this, I can't help it. But I just knew I could trust you with that sort of view on it, and you'd have a similar take. And I love that now we're both out there telling the world the truth. Hopefully we can all agree and change the world.
The capital TRUTH truth.
Yes.
Let's stop this diagnosis.
I'm with it. I love that. Yes. BPD, no. BPD, no. CPTSD.
Yes.
Okay, fabulous. Well, that was that part. So our last little theme that we wanted to talk about was this idea of the characterization of Amanda. So I'll just say my opening part about it just because I'd written this part, but then we can both riff on this because we both agree with it as well. But it's been in other podcasts, so that's why I felt really strongly about including this. That, for example, I love that podcast with Rachel Lindsay and Callie, and I really think it's fantastic. But also, when they were talking about this, they made a whole point of saying this thing about how, like, if she really had it that bad with Kyle, then why was she still with him? Why was she with him for so long? And they both really agreed with that. And I just was kind of surprised by it. I was sort of like, I feel like this is one of those podcasts where that isn't like what we're talking, the way we talk about it, is one thing I thought. But then also it just reminded me that is a lot of people's perspective on things. And it's one thing that I really would like to debunk together today, because it's the same thing with domestic violence. People say that, like, why were you with them for so long if they were so terrible? It is so much more complicated than that. It's wild. But also, even in the absence of it, it takes so much to...
Yeah, it takes 7 cycles on average for a domestic violence survivor to leave a perpetrator. That's the average. So what the stats show us is that it's really hard to leave. There's financial pressures. There's, internalized, I need to make this work. There's all sorts of things. There's whatever that dynamic is and the guilt it plays on, whatever it may be. Like, it's not that easy. And so I'm not saying that Amanda is a victim of or a survivor of domestic violence. I do think they had a complicated relationship that sometimes was very unhealthy.
And that's just Kyle, the narrative comes up. It's from domestic violence. So we're just comparing it. Like, it's not good anytime anyone uses that narrative. It's just not appropriate. But yeah, go ahead.
Right. Absolutely. And anyone who's been in a relationship knows that relationships are incredibly complicated. And we have seen Kyle do things. He even admitted that he cheated on her in the reunion. Like, it's just like, he has not been an easy person to be with. Does that make him all bad? Of course not. I think Kyle's really funny. I bet he's fun to party with. I enjoy Kyle, on reality TV. I find him an enjoyable presence. Doesn't mean he doesn't have a lot of flaws.
Totally. And I bet he's not fun to go out with for Amanda. I bet she gets so embarrassed at them when they go out. I think that's probably why she kept going out. It's not that she doesn't want to go. Like, everyone's like, why are you going out when you don't want to go out? I don't think she didn't want to go out. I think she wanted to go out, but not with Kyle. She found him so embarrassing, and he was so like fan focused, and like she just wants to like stay in her little group and be introverted, and he's like out there being like, hey, like, what up? And she probably gets embarrassed of how foolish she looks when he's drunk, and whatever. Whereas like, if she, and I bet he doesn't like really pay a lot of attention to her either. Like, I think he's probably more focused on everybody else and how he looks than on her, and I could see that being really annoying for her, versus with Wes, where he might focus on her and whatever. And they have such a big group, it's easier for her to hide in the group if there's fans nearby or whatever. But yeah, such a different experience. Yeah, totally. So I think there's good things and bad things. I think it'd be fun for us to hang out with, but maybe not for her. But then, the other good things, I mean, he did have a loving, like, caretaking view towards her. It was much more of like a parent role than a lover at that point. And but then the other thing that I was thinking about, exactly about the image thing, about it's hard to leave because of how it looks. Like, we know she's so image focused, and we also know that our culture shames divorce, and that is bogus, and has religious ties. It's more normalized than ever. Of course, it's going to keep getting more normalized, but it just is a bummer that that's probably a huge part for her. Like, she doesn't want to doesn't want to feel like she failed after she like basically begged him to marry her, you know. And then to then be like, yeah, I guess this isn't going to work after all. She doesn't want to, you know, admit that or see it that way. I think she also, like she said, lost herself. So she didn't even know what she wanted anymore. She didn't know what she needed or wanted or what she could have. She didn't know what she was missing out on, you know. And the other point I just want to make about that was the sex life thing. I wonder if also part of the sex life thing was like a symptom of her medication for depression, and or also the depression itself. So I wonder if they'd been talking about it like that, and then that's part of why they weren't like panicking about it. It was sort of like, right, that's a part of what's going on right now. It doesn't mean that it won't change, you know?
Yeah. And yet it does seem like with West, but maybe it's that new relationship thing. Who knows why she's having sex with West, but wasn't with Kyle. But
well, no, I mean, I think it would be like the symptom, you know, to blame it on depression and blame it on the medication. And not that they aren't having an influence, but that doesn't mean they completely eradicate your libido. But it does mean like, especially, you know, it's like anhedonia, like, especially if you're used to having sex with that person, it would kind of be like fizzle out in excitement. But if it's someone new, it is more, right? Like new NRE, new relationship energy. It makes sense. It would be different with West. And especially if she's drinking, because she gets to put her depression behind, like her judgment brain is offline, you know?
Yeah, probably a great time. But yeah, the fact that they weren't having sex for years, that's tough. That is tough on a relationship.
Since married, like it was before married, because they said 7 years, and then when they were on the reunion, they were like, well, since you've been married, when was the last time you did sex? You're like, yeah, all 4 years or whatever. So it was before they even got married. For 3 years before they got married, they'd already stopped having sex. So that's where I'm like, there has to have been some narrative about it within the marriage, like
to contain whatever was going on there and keep. I mean, because even with that, I was like, surely that can't be 100% true. Like maybe they had sex occasionally, because not at all. That's wild. But maybe it was. I don't know.
He said it in front of her. She didn't disagree. He said it to Carl, and Carl knows everything or whatever, you know. So I actually totally do believe it. And I just think, because I could see her sort of like holding the line, and he would be respectful of it. But like, you know, I think that what is the line that she's holding? How is she holding it? I think it has to be something like that. Like that there's another reason for it. And then that's why she went to therapy and yabba to do. But yeah, it does make it weird about trying to have babies if we're also not having sex.
Yeah. Damn.
So then another thing was the sort of like acting like the whole relationship was bad. That's part of the like narrative about that. Like, I do think that she had been so embarrassed by the fact that she looked like a pick-me with him for like, and I hate that phrase, you know, that I'm always like, you know, all people should be trying to be in a relationship. We should be wanting to be wanted or whatever. That's normal. But she, in her mind, seeing it as being like a pick-me for so long, trying to get him to pick her. And that then she basically had a choice before they got married. Like, either I can give up and I can look like he never liked me enough, or I can marry him, which is the only other natural thing that would show I won, basically. You know, so I feel like they got married more for that than out of like a love for him, sexual love. Like, I think loved him, but not in love, like he said too. She didn't want to look like she failed to woo him, you know?
It kind of broke my heart. I'm a sucker for like a complicated relationship. Like when he was like, I just hate when people try to make it seem like the whole marriage was bad. It actually like almost got me, like I was like, oh, that's really sad.
It was bawling when they were hugging. Yes. I was like absolutely bawling. I like couldn't even stand it. The way they were hugging off set like that, and just she was like so caring and loving of him, and he just was like, oh God, I'm gonna cry thinking about it. It was so sweet. Oh my God. Just so sweet, and it was just so sad. Like, and I think that speaks to the fact that like even if it was always kind of on this other pretense that I think is not really about their love, but more so about the look of it, the appearance. Even if it was always based on that, there were also really good moments and good things, and they did love each other, like as whatever roommates, lovers. Well, not so much lovers, roommates, parent, child, whatever. They did still love and take care of her. I think she was momming him too. I think they both kind of parented each other. And like in their own ways, and then also were childlike to each other as well in the reverse. But yeah, so like I think when we see that, it's like it is still really hard to leave something you're used to, even if it's always been bad, especially in times of like an upheaval. Like they're already going through so much just being on TV together that like they were kind of trauma bonded, you know?
Absolutely. Oh my God.
Yeah. So like
that shit. Anytime, like I instant, like, oh, it's killer. It's killer.
So killer. Just thinking about that is so hard. It would have been so hard. I think it would have taken her a lot longer if certain things hadn't shifted this last year. Like if she hadn't felt wanted by someone else, which could have been the Italy trip. It might have nothing to do with West. It could have been the Italy trip where she felt wanted because the men there are very like out forward about liking women that walk by on the street. She could have felt wanted again for the first time there, or with Ben's comment or whatever. And it just changed something in her where she realized she doesn't have to feel like, oh, the only person who's ever going to love her is Kyle, you know? And if that hadn't changed, I don't know if she would have ever been able to do it. It's just so hard, and it's so painful to watch. Even
the whole thing is very painful. It really is.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, it really is. I do understand Kyle being desperate for validation, right? So he's talking about like, yeah, I did make out with a fan. Like I felt like I was getting nothing at home. I do understand that. They were sort of like media partners. I put it as like, they're sort of like media partners more than anything, roommates and media partners. Not a great marriage really on either side. Trauma bonded. Yeah. So the way that she was unilaterally awful towards and about Kyle at the end. It's also about the bit about the girls getting the ick and not looking back. Yeah. I mean, I think so at the end of the season, by the end of the season, she was like unilaterally negative about Kyle. There was like no positive part. There was no like, I mean, she was talking to him alone differently than she was talking about him, but only about him, all negative. And sort of, it reminded me that she sort of probably got the ick back whenever, probably years ago, but definitely earlier in the year, she was like all done. And, you know, like when I really do feel strongly that when women get the ick, it is over. Like there's no coming back from it. And I really think that might not be true with men. I think I've seen the reverse with men. They can come back. I do not think women really can. I think it's like you're done once you're done. So I do think that probably happened. And that's part of why that's why it started to look like it was all bad. It's because like her lens was all bad. You know, so it's not like that. I don't think she meant for it to be that, but it's how it looked. And then the last thing was about the narrative about her being a mean girl, which I think she's just a selfish girl. I think she's early in life experience. She needs more friendships and experience being, frankly, like marginalized. I think she needs experience not having as much privilege and sort of see that there's more to life than what it feels like to her. You know, this like hyper focus on her image is like out of a lack of other things in her life to focus on, you know, like, so I think she needs a little bit more life experience, more friendships, more dating. She needs to date, be single, date.
And she is so far out over her skis here. That's me like making her childlike though, and yet I still kind of feel that way, which I probably need to unpack.
She is childlike though. That's it. She's so early in life experience. She has no clue. You know, she's like a high schooler, maybe not like infant, maybe she's not an infant, but she's like a high schooler, you know? So we can have empathy for her and still hold her accountable. And I think that's where we're at. We're certainly not Amanda apologizers on this podcast at all. Like I really think her behavior was absolutely abhorrent, as was West's. And also at the same time, as was Kyle's when they were in the, you know, like everybody here is at blame except Tiara, frankly. But it doesn't mean that we can't still also understand her. It's like, it helps explain it, not excuse it.
Exactly. Two very different things. Yes. 100%.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's it for season 2026. So season 10 of House. Goodbye. Goodbye, Small House. And I'm sure that there'll be ripples that happen that we'll probably bring up in future episodes. What are we going to do next? So didn't Perfect Match start coming out again?
OMG.
So I want to watch that. It has people from Love Is Blind that we like. Remember Marissa, I think was her name. She was with that guy that was like, who said he was awful. We thought he was cool. He had that like braid or whatever. He thought he was like so liberal, but he actually was like so misogynistic.
But he was so bad. What was his name?
Hated him. He was terrible. And I think her name was Marissa. And then he's not on it, but he might be on it. I don't know, but she's on it. Like she got advertised as being part of the original cast. I think it was Marissa and Ramses.
Oh, he was brutal. There's also Love Island. I don't think we can do what we were doing before, like the summary, but I think we can do big themes if
every
we want.
5 or so weeks, or that's too many weeks, but well, maybe not. Right now it's probably been 5 weeks, frankly, but yeah, exactly. We could do like little stop-ins on those, and then and then maybe So that sounds good. We'll talk about more and we'll get back to y'all about what we're doing. But yeah, it would be Love Island or Perfect Match and or both, or like different variations of things. And then we could do an awards episode at some point because it's been so long.
Oh my God, love an awards episode.
I just watched a show called $1 Million Nannies. Have you seen that?
No. Sounds
excellent. It's so excellent. I watched the entire season without stopping. So it's on Hulu, I think. And yeah, we binged it hard right away. So I think you'd like it. It's definitely a reality TV show. It's definitely ridiculous, but also fantastic. So
those are all in my wheelhouse. I am down for ridiculous, fun, all the things. It's summertime.
Time and the living's easy. Yeah.
Woo.
Well, to that point, come see us on Patreon, because you can get your audio episode the night before. It's otherwise posted to everyone else. Even if you're just a free member, you get that. Or if you're a paying member, you also will get access to our video episodes all the way back. And actually soon we're going to re-up our archive to only include the more recent episodes. So you'll get the entire archive available to you by becoming a member. And then you will also find behind the scenes videos and some of those like informational videos we do, and mental health checkups as well. So yeah, I feel like I should do one soon on BPD. That would be good. Yeah. And then next up is you can find us on the social medias, although we're not super. So yeah, to folks who may have noticed, we've been sort of muted in between episodes. It's just because we're both so busy, but things will change and we'll be back on things soon. But social medias, when you want and when we're back, is at Reality Test Podcast. And then otherwise we're at Reality Test Pod on YouTube and Facebook. That's our page on Facebook and our channel on YouTube. And we don't use TikTok anymore because it got taken over by conservative brainwashers. And we say no to that. We say no, we vote no. And then last but not least, we have an email where you can go ahead and send us emails. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree with some of the Scamanda content. Maybe you disagree with our timeline. Maybe you have your own timeline. Tell us what's up. That's at realitycheckpodding@gmail.com. Reality check, not test. Check, podding, PODDING, @gmail.com.
And don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and tell all your friends. And pay us. You know, it can't hurt.
Once a month. That's about.
Yeah.
It's a coffee.
Measly.
You know? And to those of you who are our friends, who were told by your friends to come, thank you so much. Tell your friends too, will you? We want more of your friends here. Let's have a whole friend West Posse-sized friend group come join us. Always welcome. And thank you to Bergen for sharing the episode where I shouted her out with her friends, because it's fun. I appreciate it. And we'll see you all next session. Bye.
Bye.
Let's reality test.